Your Excellency Ambassador Betty King, the Permanent Representative of the United States of America to the UN in Geneva, Terry Wray, the Deputy Director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and ladies and gentlemen, it's really a great pleasure for us to be joining with the Permanent Mission of the United States and also the United States Patent and Trademark Office in being able to display some of the ingenuity of Steve Jobs in this exhibition called The Patents and Trademarks of Steve Jobs, Art and Technology That Changed the World. It's an exhibition which is very much in keeping with the theme of World Intellectual Property Day this year, which will be held in April, and which is on, as you can see from the banner behind you, Visionary Innovators, of which, of course, Steve Jobs very much was one. He was, of course, one of the most influential technology thinkers and actors of his generation. And it's interesting, in a recent survey that was done by Lemonson and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology of some 1,100 young Americans, Steve Jobs was voted by them as the second greatest innovator of all time after Thomas Edison. And some 40% of those who responded, the young people who responded to the survey, said that they could not imagine life without one of the devices of Steve Jobs, namely an iPod or an iPad or a tablet or an iPhone. What we are very fortunate to be able to display here, thanks to the generosity of the United States Patent and Trademark Office, is over 300 of Steve Jobs's patents, most of which come under the iconic Apple brand that Steve Jobs was responsible for. You'll notice on each of the representations of an iPhone that there is the time 9:41 a.m. And this is just one of the mysteries that Steve Jobs introduced. Nobody, I think, really knows why that time, 9:41 a.m., was chosen. Some say that it was because the iPhone, I think it was revealed at a conference in San Francisco at 9:41 actually a.m. Let me extend my thanks to the Permanent Mission of the United States on behalf of the organization, as well as to the United States Patent and Trademark Office. We're really very grateful to them to have this opportunity to display Steve Jobs' work. And I'd like to thank, of course, Ambassador King for her presence here personally tonight. But let me extend also a special thanks to Terry Wray, who's the Deputy Director of the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Terry has come all the way from Washington or from Alexandria in order to be present with us tonight. So it's a very great effort, and we are very deeply indebted to you, Terry. Thank you very much. Finally, let me thank the creators of the exhibition, who are known as Invent Now, Inc., which is a non-profit organization dedicated to fostering invention and creativity through its many programs. And Invent Now also runs the National Inventors Hall of Fame and Museum, which is on the campus of the USPTO in Alexandria, Virginia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank all of you for coming. And I want to add my words of welcome to those you just heard from the Director General. And we welcome you because we think that this is a very exciting and important exhibition that honors the work of a true giant of our time, Steve Jobs. As most of you know, Steve Jobs was the ultimate icon of inventiveness and sustained imagination. He knew that the best way to create value in the 21st century was to connect creativity to technology. He will forever be remembered for the company he created, where leaps of imagination were combined with remarkable feats of engineering. While we are decidedly proud that Steve Jobs was an American, we are even more proud of the fact that he and his products became global phenomena, and that his vision and his ideas impacted the entire world. Secretary Clinton just a couple of weeks ago called all of the ambassadors, the American ambassadors around the world, to give her final charge for her final year to those of us who work for her. And the person that she brought to inspire us at this meeting was the author of the Steve Jobs book, Walter Isaacson. And he regaled us with stories that we could spend the rest of the day talking about. But the thing that I remember most, the example that I remember most, is Mr. Isaacson talking about how compulsive and obsessive he was with perfection. That the engineers, when he was doing one of these things behind me, I'm not a computer person, but anyway, iPod or whatever, they would bring the glass that's on top of it, or what, it's not really glass, but the plastic. And he kept asking, well, does it have to be this thick? Why can't you make it thinner? And the engineers kept saying, well, this is the thinnest thing we ever have. And he says, no, it's not. And you just go back and you have 24 hours to find, you know, something else. And this went on for every aspect of this, whatever invention, whatever new thing that he was coming out with. And so the reason she wanted us to hear that is that she thought that if we all could be imbued with just a little bit of his determination and his desire for perfection, that maybe we could all be better diplomats. And I have to say that we know that his reach, Mr. Jobs' reach, was very broad, because someone like me who I never saw a computer I ever liked. I didn't like the equipment because it looked bulky. It never fitted with my furniture. I didn't want it seen anywhere in my house. And then he opened an Apple store not far from my apartment in New York. And I found myself, like most New Yorkers, in that, you know, downstairs in that iconic building on Fifth Avenue at all hours of the night. And you could go there 2 o'clock in the morning, it was full of people. You could go there 10 o'clock in the morning, it was full of people. It was really, he really did change not only the style and all of that, but brought a lot of us sort of late bloomers in the field of technology to this work. Next month, as you know, WIPO will mark World Intellectual Property Day with a very appropriate and relevant theme, visionary innovators, and we've all heard that he is the epitome of one of these. I think it's entirely appropriate that we celebrate the work of a man who embodied the spirit of innovation at the headquarters of WIPO, because the raison d'etre of this organization is to foster innovation and to protect and defend the products of such innovation. So we would like to thank WIPO, the Director General and all of his staff, and the USPTO for their excellent work in bringing this exhibit to Geneva. We hope that over the next month, many people will have the opportunity to visit. So we want you to go out and tell the rest of Geneva that they are indeed missing something if they don't come to visit it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador King, Director General Burry. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak before you today. I have to tell you that this, what you see behind you, was in the atrium of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And at first, it was primarily intellectual property attorneys or patent attorneys who came to look at the exhibit. And as the days and weeks went on, more and more visitors who have never thought about intellectual property, who would have never imagined that they would have come to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, people were constantly in our lobby. And you could go to the lobby of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office 24 hours a day. So if I worked very late into the evening and I was leaving at 10 p.m., there would be people in the lobby of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office reading each one of these patents that you see behind you. Because people partially, they realize that they lost, that this planet or this world lost a true artistic director, somebody who wanted to make each one of our lives as best as it could be. And in particular, our US patent examiners are very, very proud of this exhibit. And they can tell you how many times their names appear on these patents that you see below me. So this exhibit was very personal to our patent examiners and our trademark examiners, but Steve Jobs was personal to everybody in the world, and he touched each one of our lives with those of us who are here today. And it's important to remember his beginning. He was an adopted child who dropped out of college. I don't think you could say flunked out, but I think theoretically, if you looked at his last semester grades, that description, he would have been asked to leave if he did not leave. He was a great thinker. He was highly focused. He realized that we needed information and we needed it in a more efficient manner than what our standard libraries and written print and paper would have given us. And he actually wanted to change the world and change things. And in my mind, he is one of the foremost leaders in what I call disruptive innovation. So incremental innovation is great. It improves each one of our lives. But disruptive innovation, innovation that changes how we do our research, innovation that changes how we listen to our music and how we keep track of our music, innovation that changes how we do our work, whereas everything is conveniently computerized. I am sort of consistent with Ambassador King's. I always wanted the smallest computer in my office possible, because I viewed it as visually and artistically ugly. Steve Jobs said, no, you can get all this information and it can look good, it can look beautiful. So at any rate, I wanted to give you a quote what Steve Jobs had said, and he said, design is not just what a product looks like and feels like, design is how it works. So function and design are one and are critical. And for that, I thank him. Another thing about Steve Jobs is he was a highly focused, intense individual. He was a very good businessman, but he was a dreamer and he was never afraid of failure. Now, he obsessed to try to avoid failure, but he was not a success with everything that he did. So when I speak to people in universities and young people, you cannot be afraid of failure, because frankly, failure is something which you can learn from and will benefit you later in your career. And Steve Jobs knew that. Everybody could fail at coming up what he considered to be a computer, but to actually succeed, he planned on taking things to the next step, and he didn't worry about failing, and he wanted to get each one of us to understand better his vision. In my mind, he was the ultimate dreamer. There's another story that I'd like to share with you, and that is, unfortunately, close to the end of his life, when he was in a hospital. He was with his sister, and he was in a hospital bed with all of the equipment, the medical equipment and gadgets around him. And he was sketching out with pen and paper with his sister new designs for medical equipment. So his creativity, his innovation, his yearning to make life better for each one of us was constantly and through to the very end. I think of this exhibit behind us as a true memorial to his vision. He liked life, he liked mankind, he wanted to get to know each one of you, but not talking to you, not personally. He wanted to give each one of you an iPad, an iPhone, a computer, and he thought that if we all talked to each other in a more efficient way, it would take us to the next level. So I applaud his vision. I view this as somewhat of a solemn moment that he is no longer with us, and I am hopeful that there are other people throughout the world that will take that same level of leadership in innovation, design, and somebody that's looking out for us and will help take us to the next level and make us more efficient in what we do and make each one of us better people with what we do if we have the tools to do our job, and then we all could help society in a better way. Thank you so much. Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Ambassador King.